Raise your hand if you watch SNL. Alright, put your fucking hand down. So I saw something recently. There's somebody named Chloe Fineman. So chances are, if you live on the internet, you've probably seen this. But if you haven't, prepare to go down a trip on memory lane. Remember a couple decades ago, it's a different time where an adult can conduct sexual misconduct on a goddamn 6-year-old? Remember that was normal? People make it such a big deal now. So there's this clip where Chloe Fineman, who joined SNL, it looks like in 2019, and who was in the current lineup, was telling her castmates about the time she was fired as a camp counselor for...
No, I was fired as a camp counselor.
For hitting on the campers?
No, I pantsed.
What did that paper say? What job was I fired from and later rehired by?
Oh, I pantsed a boy.
Oh, honey, I think you're on a list somewhere.
This buddy bear here, very clever. She was keeping it light, making a joke that she should be on a list somewhere. But I think, you know, willing to hear out the story, because clearly it's not what it sounds like, right?
And he wasn't wearing underpants. And then a giant school bus drove by, and they were like, "You can't," like, because he would lift my shirt all the time.
The way she's just like, "Oh, you know." She was locked in a sexual misconduct battle with a 6-year-old. It was back and forth. It was the closest Super Bowl of all time. Jesus Christ.
What is happening?
It was Berkeley.
How?
Everything she says to their outrage, her response to their outrage is so, oh, come on. Don't make this weird, guys.
How old was the child?
He was like 6. No,
Look at this guy's face as soon as she said the boy's age.
6. No, it was
She's like, no. Don't make this weird again, guys.
a different time. Like, he was.
That's not funny. Don't laugh. What if you were that 6-year-old?
He would be like, "Hey, can I have a hug?" And I'd go to hug him, and then he'd like lift my shirt like a dick. And then I was like, "I'm gonna get back at you." And so we were on a hike, and
I think she's trying to show how she really feels while still being in the spirit of VF. I'm assuming this is Vanity Fair. I think everyone else's face is more representative of probably what your face is doing right now.
I was like, "Hey, Ollie, go look over there. It's a hawk." And he looked. And then
I think she just can't believe this is happening.
yanked his pants down. He wasn't wearing underwear. His little ding-a-ling was out. And then these two twins were like, "Oh, I didn't know you didn't wear underwear." And then I was fired.
Well, Noah, get the boat. We are overdue for a second flood. The fact that she was so matter-of-fact blows me away. What? You mean you don't remember sensually misconducting a 6-year-old when you were tasked with the job of supervising them and being a steward of the youth? That was totally normal 20 years ago, right? No, I don't think that's been normal since maybe the caveman days. So I think this is a good example of, I don't know, call it echo chamber thinking. You could really tell when somebody's inner circle is not a good representation of how the general population thinks, because they'll say things so matter of fact as if it was so normal, but it's totally not normal to most people, but they'll say it as if it is, and you could tell that the people that they grew up with, or the people that are surrounding them, or their inner circle, they're probably like-minded individuals. So they believe that their like-minded inner circle is like, hey, that's the world's opinion, right? And then when they get outside of that inner circle and they start showing their version of brain patterns, and people are just like, what? It's just such an interesting phenomena. I feel like a psychologist out there needs to give a name for that. You can name it after me if you want. It's like a false consensus effect, which is where people kind of overestimate how many others might agree with them. So they think that their like quote unquote weird or harmful views are just what most people think, when that is totally not the case. I remember when I was I think I was actually 6, and people would do things to me, like older family members. But I've never walked away from that situation like, but it was a different time. It was the 90s. Like, no, that's not why it happened. It happened because XYZ fill in the blank, a whole different topic. The way that I've explained it to myself in my head is that the older family member that did that to me, it was probably done to them, left some crazy traumatic imprint. Now they're into it, and so they did it to me. And that's not an excuse for them. It's just an explanation, because when something happens, I just like to understand why it's happening. It doesn't mean that I like that it's happening or I like that it's happened. Me trying to understand it helps me objectify it, and it helps loosen its hold over me, aka I won't be as traumatized by it. You feel me? So that's kind of my process. But at no point in my process was I like, oh, it's just because it was a different time. There are some things where, yeah, it was a different time, and there's some things that were normal and accepted 1 decade ago, 2, 3, 4 decades ago, that are no longer acceptable now. And we should be fair in judging them by their standards to an extent and not judging them by our standards. Now, that may sound like kind of cuckoo, but if you think about it, we are doing things right now that in 1, 2, or 3 decades is going to be seen as unethical. And that wouldn't be fair to us because we don't know what those things are going to be until we get there in 3 decades. Now, when we get there in 3 decades, it would be our responsibility to update our firmware and to get with the times and our better understanding of what is ethical and what is not. What should we allow and condone? What shouldn't we allow and condone? Because society's ever changing. There's an upper level of morals and values that you are allowed to change. So there are things like that. Sure. This is not one of those things. Like this has never been okay. Like, why is it? Maybe it was okay at that time because it sounds like the kid was in on it, right? It sounds like it was like a little sensual, mutual pranking battle. Listen, I was alive in the 90s. I mean, I was a fucking child, but I was alive. And in my opinion, the proper response to that is, hey, this kid thinks it's okay to lift girls' shirts up. If I'm a supervisor, it's part of my responsibility to not let that shit slide, because I don't want this kid going off in the world lifting girls' shirts up. Like, how is that kid going to turn out when they're 18, 30, 40, 50? Like, I got to nip this in the bud right here. You know, if I'm an adult, like certainly an adult compared to a 6-year-old, and if I take that as a challenge, like, oh, you think you're going to prank me? I'm going to get you back, watch. And pantsing them, like whether they're wearing underwear or not, like the fact that you responded by going along with it, stooping to the level of what that 6-year-old was on, rather than being a steward to the situation, is so mind-blowing. And the fact that you have grown since then, you have a fully mature brain by now. And as you reflect back on that moment, you still haven't thought of it any differently. You still feel like, well, that battle ended in a tie and I lost my job, so I guess he won in the end. If you think about it, that's the only takeaway you get from thinking about what happened back then. Like, this is crazy. I mean, I really want to know what camp this was, where she was from, like where was she living at, like what is the background demographics of everyone involved, because that shit wasn't normal to me. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that was more normal than I'm giving it credit for. But now, granted, because she did that back then, it doesn't mean that she is doing that now, I hope. So I don't think you should condemn somebody for a mistake that they made. I mean, I can't condemn her. I mean, I'm not God. I'm not a judge. There's probably a lot of ways that she has grown since then. She's probably done more good things in her life than bad things. But as far as that topic, I think it's fair to criticize her on her actions and her lack of self-awareness. The fact that she can't reflect on it from a place of willing to take responsibility, willing to be wrong. You know what I mean? 'Cause I remember when I was a teenager, right? And I'm not talking about 19, like I was a young teenager. I was staying in a Native American reservation and I had a plastic water bottle. I found a frog out in nature and I stuffed the frog in there. Like, he couldn't even fit through the hole. So I like shoved him in there, and there's like a little water in there, and it was like a little pet frog in a water bottle. Obviously, I can't get him out. Like, I tried shaking it to get him out. I couldn't do it. Obviously, if I had to shove him in, he's not just going to come out. And rather than like getting scissors at the church and cutting him free, I decided to put him over the fireplace and to watch it boil and then watch him squirm in the water bottle. And when he started squirming, I got so scared with how cracked out the squirming was. I threw that shit into the darkness like 50-yard bomb, like Aaron Rodgers style. And yeah, at the time, you could say I was a kid. My frontal lobe wasn't there yet, but I can look back on it and reflect like what kind of disregard and lack of respect I have for life on this planet, that I could put a living creature and put them through that. And for sure that frog didn't survive. I mean, you know, frogs are going to die anyway, but like to go like that is pretty sad. It's pretty sad. So I could look back on it and be like, I never would do that again. I never would even think to, and I wish I didn't do it back then. It's not like killing something for survival, like when a mosquito lands on you and right when it's about to take a sip, you squish that motherfucker into a two-dimensional being and it's a red stain on your forearm. Like that is killing for survival. But what I did to that frog, it was rest in peace, that frog. You feel me? So, you know, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be I'm willing to take crazy and dirty looks from people when I tell them that story. And I'm not gonna tell them, well, listen, I was like 14, okay? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know, like, true. 14-year-olds don't make the best decisions that they're ever gonna make when they're that age. But at the same time, like, you gotta take responsibility for your actions, or at least a version of that is found in just reflecting and updating your firmware on how you would behave in that sort of situation from here on out. Just the lack of that. Like, I remember when I was going to church, and my little sister, she was like 4, and it was a kid, like he was like 9 or 10 or 11. He's still a kid too, but he was like lifting his shirt up, showing his like little boy nipples, and then he was telling my sister, now you lift your shirt up and show me. And he was twice the age of my sister, but even then my sister knew that something was weird. Like, she doesn't know what a lot of sexual themes are at that age, but she knew that there was something weird going on. And this kid, he grabbed her by the hand, pulled her to the side when everyone was in the cafeteria eating, pulled him to the other side of the church where it was just those two in like kind of a darker hallway. And I like to wander. Like, I'm kind of a weird nomadic person. So like, I'll eat, but then I start walking around just thinking of shit. I don't know, I was a weird kid. I was like a little philosophical ass kid. And then I was walking and I saw the whole shit. And right when I got to that point, I went running over, but she wasn't going to do that stuff regardless. But when I ran over there, he just kind of walked away. Like, I'm not going to pretend like that kid, the older boy, like knows everything he's gonna know at that age. You know, I'm gonna stop the action, but I want to give the person an opportunity to learn from it and grow. Like, I'm not gonna condemn that 10-year-old for life. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop the action and just pray that they learn from it. So same thing with this girl. You know, I don't condone the action, correct the action, but don't condemn the person for life. You know, like, she needs an opportunity to learn. Because if we have one more person, her, who can become a better person from this, we got more better people in the world for it, and the world's better off that way, right? But as far as that video, pretty crazy. I don't usually do commentary for commentary's sake, but I couldn't not say anything. I couldn't. Anyway, if you were thinking about pantsing somebody today, too late. The time to do that was in the 90s. It's a different time now.